So let's start off. This is getting implemented December 1st, 2023, guys. TRESA, the word TRESA stands for Trust in Real Estate Services Act. It is replacing REBA 2002, which we are very, very familiar with. This touches on a code of ethics. Major changes have been made to your business practices, so pay attention. It is not complicated. It's not hard. Your office is here. Your brokerage is here. Your broker of record, your broker owner, Manjot, and the front desk is also attending today. So all of us are on board. We will all be here for you as always. So please, no panic is required. I've also created a very concise PDF, which I'll be sharing at the end of this with the video that we are recording just now. So you will have plenty of help. And of course, all of us are just a phone call away from you, or just pop by at the office. You know, we practically live here. So let's start off. So phase one, which came into being a while back, was PREC, or your personal real estate corporation was allowed. And then you were allowed to use the term realtor, which was a big deal because that was what was commonly used by the layman. We were, however, not allowed to use that. We were able to use only sales representatives, brokers, or what was the other one? But realtor was not allowed, and they allowed that. Phase two is what we're facing right now. These are updates in your principal code of ethics. First one, most important one is elimination of customer. We are all used to using buyer customer representation, also listing customer representation when we are not where we are not in a relationship with a client. It is only customer service that we are providing them, mostly on our own listings or mostly with our own buyers. So if I have a buyer, for example, I see a house that they're very interested in. I could have approached previously the owner of the house and said, hey, I have a buyer. I'm going to do a customer service agreement with you, and only for this deal, I will be preparing your forms and all of that. They have eliminated that completely. They have replaced that with something that is called self-representation. Right? So anybody that is not represented, in simple word, anybody that is not represented by you is to be treated as being represented by another realtor. We all know that when somebody's being represented by another realtor, we are supposed to give them absolutely no advice, right? No advice. So we have to remember that when somebody turns around and said, we are self-represented, we're going to treat them as if they're being represented by another realtor. Further to that, the gold standard for clients representation is what? Having a buyer/listing representation signed. What happens when somebody signs a listing representation or a buyer-client representation? Right off the bat, we have fiduciary duties towards them. We are legally held bound by that client, right? They're not customers. So remember that anybody that we represent moving forward has to be in a relationship as a client. Now, we are all familiar with the term implied representation. A lot of you might think, oh my God, client service representation, that means every time I have to take somebody out for a showing, I start with a buyer representation agreement first. Remember, that is the gold standard, having it documented on paper in black and white. However, we've all practiced 90% of the deals are done under implied representation. What does that mean? I have a client, previous client, or somebody I've been referred to by a friend, or a family member calls me up and says, hey, Sabiha, can you start taking me to show houses? I'm interested in purchasing an investment property or a home to change. Or can you come and see me at my house? I want to sell my house. The moment you get that call, what happens? Implied representation. If somebody calls you up and says, hey, I want to come and see a property that you've listed, First question that you ask them is what? Are you represented by another realtor? If they turn around and say, yes, we're represented by another realtor, what should your answer be? You have to ask your representative to book you an appointment. So this is the difference, is right off the bat, if somebody is not represented by another realtor, you can have implied representation, meaning you have no form signed, but they're not represented by anybody else, and you are going to be their implied representation. When the offer is put in, most times at that time the buyer representation form is filled out together with the offer. It's still allowed, guys. You don't have to have it in black and white writing, but you must always ask that question, are you represented by another realtor? That we've always done. At that point, if they turn around and they say that, no, we want to self-represent ourselves, there is a form. It's not a form, actually, that's the wrong term for it. It's like a brochure. Like we used to call working with the realtor a brochure. Similarly, this is a brochure. No signatures are required. It is called Information and Disclosure to Self-Represented Parties. SRP is what they're using again and again and again, which we have to always remember. The rights of an SRP are exactly what the rights of another person represented by another sales representative would be. You must not offer any information regard and knowledge that you have as a sales representative. So this may be a self-represented buyer for your listing, or a seller with a home your buyer client would like to purchase that is not listed with any other realtor. Now, what is the rules and regulations associated with this SRP? Showing your own listing during an open house or giving access to a potential buyer to your listing for viewing purposes only in your presence is permitted, as it serves your client, who is the seller client, right? However, giving any advice on a neighborhood or the property value and comps, drafting an offer, advising on price, clauses, negotiating deposits, closing dates, etc., is not permitted. Why is it not permitted, guys? Because any advice given based on your skill and knowledge as a real estate professional is prohibited if the potential buyer is self-represented or represented by another realtor. We're clear on that, right? Just SRP is exactly what is a person who is represented by another realtor. Now, there's another point, very important, is disclosures, right? When do we have disclosure? When there is a multiple representation. Before it was tucked into what is called our agreement of purchase and sale, or our Form 320, right? Form 320 is your, what form is it, guys? Anybody wants to share with me that detail? Confirmation of cooperation.
Confirmation of co-op. Yeah.
Exactly. Confirmation of co-op had multiple representation in there. Conflict of interest. When is that? Direct or indirect benefits. When is that? When we fill out our 160 and 161, right? Disclosures of acquisition, right? Or disposition. Material facts. When a client is aware of latent defects or material facts related to the property. There is mold in my attic, right? There is a foundation crack leading to mold in my basement. These are all latent defects that the seller may be aware of. SPIC, what is that, guys? Anybody wants to kick in and give us an idea of what SPIC is? Anyone?
Seller.
Is that a location of the property?
No,
No,
it's
It's a
Seller
statement.
property information
Yes.
statement.
yes, it's exactly. So it is related to maybe electric or plumbing or major construction parts of your property, right? This can be, you can get this done by a home inspector. Once you have that on hand, you must disclose it. Any issues or any things that are like knob and tube wiring or aluminum wiring or whatever it may be, if that is something that you have on hand, right, then you must share it with the other purchasers. So all disclosures must be presented in a way to bring attention to the information that is required to be conveyed. All disclosures according to the Act must be written using Form 3. Sorry, this is incorrect. This I put in the wrong place. Please completely disregard this brackets. That are prominently and clearly put in plain language. Right? We must have all of these things in plain language, and you will see the new forms that they have created. They have actually highlighted the disclosure part of it very clearly. I sometimes this is the internal brokerage meeting, so I'll mention that sometimes I see disclosure documents, the 160 and the 161, being sent to me, which is the accusation or disposition, and nothing is put in the portion where it actually asks, what is your connection with the property. Just putting down that you're a salesperson is not good enough. You have to put down how you're related to the buyer or seller. If you're the buyer or seller yourself, and if you will be getting any money or making any money directly or indirectly from this purchase and sale. Okay, your mother's selling a property, you're going to get a portion of the sale. Please make sure that you do add that in there. Okay. Another thing is strengthening RICO's discipline committee, right? So what happened previously, guys? A complaint had to be filed against a sales representative, realtor, brokerage by a consumer or another sales representative for it to be reviewed by the discipline committee. David, myself, Holly had to go and complain to RICO, or one of our clients had to go to RICO and complain about another broker or sales representative or the brokerage itself for malpractice, that if they assumed that there was something done incorrectly. Now they've given the right to the RICO's discipline committee themselves. Under the new regulations, RICO's discipline committee may independently take an action against a registrant if they see fit, without anybody else from outside making a complaint. Okay, are we clear on that? Sharing contents of an offer. Okay, the seller may decide to share, remember this, very important, partial or complete contents of all offers amongst all bidding buyer representatives. If you have 5 offers on the table, your client says, hey, I want to disclose only the price. One of them may be unconditional, the other may have 10 conditions on it, but the seller is choosing to share only partial information, which is the purchase price, amongst buyers. It is your responsibility to make sure all 5 buyer agents or represented buyers, SRPs, are getting that information. Equal information has to be shared amongst all parties. This information is the seller's prerogative. Why? Because once the offer comes to the seller, right, until or unless that an offer is in irrevocable period, guys, that is the property of the seller. It is irrevocable by the buyer. Okay, all rights remain with the seller at that point once the offer is received. A buyer may, at the time of submitting an offer, add a clause. Okay, we'll share this clause amongst the brokerage. I will put it in the broker clauses that we have. What is that clause, guys? That if any part of the offer is shared amongst other parties, which is other buyers, the offer shall become null and void. Okay, The buyer has that right to put that offer right in the beginning. I want to make one more clarification. This decision of the seller to reveal any part of the contents of the offer may be done at any point. Seller does not have to decide this upfront. Buyers do not need to know about this. However, buyers obviously know that this is the new regulation, which is called an open offer, right? That is the right of the seller. So, thus, if a buyer does not want their offer to be valid after that information is revealed, they can put this clause in there. However, at the point that this offer is sent in, right, and the contents of the offer are still not revealed, this is what happens. Open offers. In this instance, the selected contents of this particular offer will still be shared, right? And the offer will be counted in the number of offers. Just because you said it's going to be null and void if my offer is revealed does not mean that it will not be revealed, and does not mean that it will not be counted as a registered offer. 5 offers, 3 of them have this clause in it. Everybody will still be told there are 5 offers on the table. The purchase price offered on it is such and such, such and such, such and such, and such and such. 5 different offerings are put in front of all the buyers. And after that, that offer becomes null and void.
Sabiha, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
just have a one question because it's
Sure,
gonna
absolutely.
come out and it's just, when it comes to this, do you think it would be wise as a listing representative to advise our clients what can happen?
What do you mean by what can happen?
What can happen that it becomes null and void? Do you realize what's
Of
gonna
course,
happen?
of course,
Because it's
Regina, you have to discuss the whole offer with your client.
And
right?
because a lot of them are going to ask, what do you suggest? What do you, because they are public. So let's say first house, they got it 20 years ago. They have no idea what's going on, but someone told them that they should do this. And
Of course,
then,
Regina, if there is a clause which talks about the offer being null and void, you have to disclose that's part of the offer. So you will be sharing all contents of the offer with your client, right? And you will be making an informed decision, of course, right? If it's a very strong offer, right? And you want to accept it, by all means, that, and it's far apart by $25,000 or $30,000 than all other offers, and it's a clean offer, why would you jeopardize the value of that offer, right? You will accept that offer.
and
correct?
I know that definitely they will be asking us because we are the one they're considering professionals. And I know the court is in, the ball is in their court, but then at the same time, they're hiring us to represent them to the best of the abilities.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
We'll move forward.
Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Multiple representation. Okay, guys?
Sabiha, I
This
had a
is
question here.
absolutely, yes, absolutely.
So you said that it's on seller's discretion that if they can reveal it or not, the part of an offer, right? Now, say like the seller disclosed.
Mhm.
I'm a buyer's agent this side, and now seller ended up disclosing the price of the offer, and I decided to ask the listing agent, because I am also a competition here, that did that offer which you disclosed became null and void, or it's still in the race?
No, that's not a question you can ask, because this is a clause in there, and you cannot ask for any other information but that what is revealed. Right?
Okay.
So
No,
just like you could not ask if that offer, so you told me there's 5 offers, 1 million, 1,020,000, 1,030,000, 1,040,000, 1,050,000. Okay, I'm revealing only that part of the offer. Can you come and ask me, are those offers conditional or not conditional? Absolutely not. That I am not revealing any part of other than the fact that I'm revealing the purchase price.
No, I'm coming it from the point, like,
From the buyer side, I think he talks
Yeah,
about
I'm talking
buyer
about the
side.
buyer side. As a buyer agent, You cannot ask me what conditions are in an offer.
No, on your own offer. I think he meant on his own
No,
offer.
Regina,
if
let him finish,
Okay.
please.
No, no,
Yes,
no.
Go ahead, Abu.
I'm asking this because say like it's a phony offer, it's a dummy offer where they have gouged the prices and revealing that, and by seeing that, the other 10 competing buyers agent are basically like, okay, this is a really valid offer, and we need to bump up our price. Now we are in a kind of like a dilemma that whether we should go and bump up the price and match that or make it better than that, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if we know this information as buyer's agent, that now that you have revealed that price, did that offer came with a condition that this offer is going to become null and void because you disclose this? Now, if I know that, then I know that, okay, what I could
Yeah,
be
but
doing
you're
as a
not
buyer-
going to reveal this to anybody else. This is a condition. This is a condition, guys. Yet again, this is a condition on that offer. Just like a condition for multiple financing or a condition for inspection. You are not revealing any other part of the offer except for the purchase price. I think it's quite clear what I'm saying. Okay, you are not going to share this part of it, whether it's becoming null and void. There are 5 offers that are submitted. One of them has this condition. This condition is not going to be revealed to any other buyer.
Okay, Sabiha, sorry to jump in on this one. Just a quick,
Yeah.
I think what he's asking is, if the offer becomes null and void, does the agent, because of a condition in it that it's been disclosed, is the agent still not obligated, listing agent not, or sorry, selling agent not obligated to say that we're now only competing with 4 offers?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I thought every time an
absolutely.
offer changed in a competition, we had to notify
No,
of any
guys.
new offer coming in, no?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I will, after I'm done with this, I'm just going to pull up something that we had actually asked Oria exactly this question, because this is where David thought that was what was going to happen, that this offer becomes null and void. And we were answered that until or unless the irrevocability period of this offer lapses, this offer is still on the table and is mentioned as an offer. It is counted in the numbers of offers received. Okay, this is very, very clear. You have 5 offers, 2 of them have this condition. You will still be registering 5 offers. You will still be giving out information regarding all 5 offers equally. Okay? Clear enough, guys? Are you okay with this?
Yeah, I'm
So
just
what makes
worried
an
about-
offer null and void?
Yeah, I'm just worried about the phony offers, Sabiha, here, because
Don't worry about the phony offers. There is no phony offers, Apu. This is something that you're thinking too deeply. Any offer that comes to you in writing, you have to take it seriously. Right? You have to take it seriously. You have to comb through it properly.
no, I'm not talking on that perspective. Like seller's agent just simply cook up a number and say that this is what is it.
This is not, you're talking about something that's illegal. We're not talking about illegal stuff, right? We're not talking about it. We're taking for face value. What if that they're doing that, then they're going to lose their license.
Okay.
Right? This is not up to us. We have to take it for face value. You cannot go ahead and offer $50,000 over your client's budget anyways, right?
Hey, Sabiha, one question here.
Yes.
So you said that the buyer at the time of submitting an offer can add a clause that would make their offer null and void, but the same buyer can get information about the other offers, right? Like, okay, this is
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's considered to be valid, live at the time that the information is revealed.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Real quick, Sabiha, this is an easy one. I'm assuming this all applies to leases as well as purchases, right?
Absolutely. Everything is covered under the same umbrella, right? Because this is RICO regulations. Any work that we do as realtors must be run through the brokerage, whether we're making money on it or not, right? And everything has to be done under, it used to be REBA 2002, and now it's TRESA. Okay?
Yeah.
All real estate activities, guys.
And Sabiha, how do we disclose, in what kind of form? I understand the email, but do we specify the agent, what was the price, the agent, brokerage, what was the price, or how?
To the agent. To the agent until unless the buyer is self-representative. If
Oh,
they
no,
are
no, no,
an
no, 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 no. That's not what I mean.
So
How do
guys,
we?
one second. Can we keep the questions down to a minimum until Sabiha finishes the presentation?
Yeah,
And then
you
at
can
the-
ask some questions, but let's not go into very lengthy
Deep.
ones, please. guys.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you guys.
Okay, multiple representation. Okay, very, very important, guys. There are some changes to it, but please do not get confused. There is a lot of hear and say around, right? Stick to this presentation. Use this as a Bible, guys. Multiple representation by the same realtor is absolutely permitted. There is no regulation that is not allowing a listing realtor or a buyer representative to also function on the flip side of the coin. You can absolutely do it. However, you have to make sure that the other person is not represented by another realtor, nor are they choosing to go as an SRP, which is a self-represented person. Okay?
Sabiha, can you move your camera just a little bit downwards? I'm getting messages here that realtors can't see your entire beautiful face on camera. Thank you.
Okay, so how that's going to happen is there's 2, 3, 4 bars on the right-hand side. You're going to click on it so that my picture goes away, guys. You have to do it on your own end. There is a bar where the picture is. Please minimize it so that you don't see my picture. Okay?
I think they're saying, Sabiha, they want to see your picture.
My face?
Ye-
I will print it and give it to everybody for Christmas. No, can they see the screen? I think that's the problem. Are you okay, guys? Can you all see the screen fully?
Yes, we can see the screen, but your camera is just a little up, so half your lips are cut off, Sabiha.
We see more ceiling than anything else.
Ah, that's better.
Perfect.
All
Thank you.
right, okay. Designated representation, guys. This is something that is very new, okay? And brand new to our practice. What is this? When 2 realtors from the same brokerage are listing and selling, meaning the seller is represented by us and the buyer is represented by us for the same property, are acting as independent service providers, right? John has a listing, Yagnish has a buyer. They are going to be working as 2 separate entities. This is not multiple representation. Guys, when is this going to be decided? At the point when John's clients calls him over for a listing presentation. John is going over the paperwork. Your listing forms have a new line in it, which clearly asks whether that particular listing is going to be designated or a multiple representation is what the seller is choosing to go with. And you have to discuss both pros and cons with your client, who is the seller at that point. This has to be decided not as a brokerage across the board, as listing by listing by listing. And you guys have to be eyes, ears, and information for your clients. And you have to discuss with them the pros and cons of a multiple representation versus a designated representation. Keep in mind, if you have a buyer of your own, then what happens? Multiple representation, because that's yourself. You cannot do designated representation when it is the same person. But when there are 2 realtors from the same brokerage, designated representation may come into being. So let's talk about what that is. At the time a listing is signed, it shall be deemed to be either designated or open for multiple representation from within the brokerage. When you have a designated representation, for lack of better word, I'm sorry, I couldn't come up with a better word, gag order. We all know what that is. There is a firewall that must be observed between the listing agent and the cooperating agent if the listing is designated to an individual. Absolutely no parts of the offer or the seller situation may be discussed freely with the brokerage. Meaning, Yajneesh's clients are going through a divorce. They absolutely must sell this property within the next 2 weeks. John has a buyer that may fit perfectly to the situation. Yajneesh must not come and discuss this part with me as the broker of record. Okay, is that clear, guys? When there is an issue associated with your seller, which is a personal issue, and they have chosen to go with designated representation, you have to be very careful that no part of their personal information is shared with anybody in the office. Not Manny, not Cassandra, not Manjot, not Sabiha, not David, and nobody else. If it is a designated representation. Okay?
Can I just chime in with a very quick question before you move on?
Of course, Tashana.
Yeah, I understand the gag order portion of it. My question is, though, it says that it would be established at the time of signing the listing agreement, but how do you know at that point who will be bringing forward a buyer, and if your office or someone from your brokerage would be involved to designate it multiple or designated?
Correct. Very good question. However, you don't need to. It's just a choice of the seller. The seller turns around and says, I do not want to deal with any offers coming from your brokerage if there are multiple representation. I want all my, so why would that happen, Tashana? Right? If I have a big issue, right, and I need to sell in desperation. At that point, as a seller, to be honest, I would like to have designated representation. Correct? Right. So this is at all points. Remember, what is TRESA mean? Trust in real estate. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that that the consumer is not just protected. The consumer feels very confident that there is no collusion going on in this business.
Right.
Okay. And so usually people wouldn't care whether it's multiple representation. Also, you should not be sharing all of these details, right? But with designated representation, it's a little bit of more of a firewall that's created.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I have a question, please.
Sure. Yes, of course.
What's the office policy? Because I'm hearing that different offices or brokers have different policies. So are we
like I mentioned, like I mentioned, Victoria, this is something as an office we should not and we must not advocate, right? Remember, this is not to help you out. This is to help out the consumer and the customer, right? This has to be left open-ended for a client to decide, right? And for you to advise them.
And what's right? But I'm so confused that I don't know which one is the proper advice. You know, like if you ask me now, I don't know what's right or wrong because I never practiced.
So I'll give you a scenario. Yeah, I'll give you a scenario which fits very well in this. Okay. And I'm not saying any of us practice like that, but I'm just giving you a scenario. Okay. And this is a live scenario. David knows about this. Few months ago, I got a call from someone in BC. They hadn't seen their property for the last 36 years. It was rented out. Beautiful bungalow in Scarborough, right? The lady was given my information. She was expecting maybe to get $500,000 for her property. She thought she had lost her property to tenants. She did not. She's older. She had no intentions of coming back to Ontario. She had nobody here to look after her. She spoke to someone who knows me in BC, said, why don't you call up our friend? She called me up and she said, if you can sell this property and get me $500,000, I would be more than happy. Right? I could have gone ahead and I could have purchased that property for myself and made instant $500,000, if not more. What did I do? I listed it on MLS and I sold it to a third party just because I did not want to deal with it. I already practiced designated representation, right? Now that same realtor may have been in my office, right? And I could have told him, oh, you can get this property on a deal. If you offer $600,000, she will be more than happy to accept it. Right? No, it was sold to a third party. Even if that realtor was from our brokerage, which it wasn't, it was completely done on an arm's length basis. This is creating an arm's length basis within your brokerage, meaning you're a different island, David is a different island, and I'm a different island, right? And we're sharing no parts of this deal with your colleagues.
Yeah,
Makes
but not
a little bit of
everybody's that
sense.
ethic. And not everybody, that makes totally sense, but not everybody's that ethical. And that's the part that scares me, because in the actual multiple.
This is why they have made this the choice of the seller. Okay, this is not a choice that is left with you and me. This is the choice of the seller and has to be clearly and openly discussed at the time of the listing presentation. And that is why they've added it to our listing forms. Okay, your agreement to list has this now in there where the client chooses to have designated representation. Makes a little bit more sense, Victoria?
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't want to like the other noise to interrupt. Yeah, but that makes fully sense. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So for clarification, Sabiha, if there's designation, we cannot share. If there is multiple representation, we could share. Is that what you're saying?
You could share it with me. If there's multiple representation, you could come and discuss it with me.
Right.
Right? Multiple representation. There is a factor of a little bit of collusion in multiple representation. So whenever we see a property that we put in an offer on and there's another offer accepted with $100 extra, this has happened to me, true story, right? And then you see that it's the same listing presentation that did the co-op. What does your mind say right away? Collusion, right?
Right.
And if the listing is designated, you have to make sure as a brokerage, as a realtor, that no information is shared. Absolutely.
Right, thank you.
All right. Yes.
I just wanted to see if you sign a designated rep and can anyone else in the brokerage help you? Like, let's say you're going on vacation or a family member.
We're going to come to that in a second.
Okay.
John, one second. It's right here. I'll come to that. That's a very important point. Thank you for bringing it up. It's literally the next slide. Timing of disclosure of multiple representation, guys. All right. Multiple representation meaning what? Coming from the same brokerage, both the offer and the listing, right? In case of an anticipated multiple representation, the seller must be informed immediately in writing. Now, this is where those forms should have come via Form 325 and Form 326. We know the 320 series, right? What is that? Confirmation of cooperation, right? Immediately, offer is not typed out yet, right? But I go show a property listed by David. My client absolutely loves it. I know that they're going to send in an offer right off the bat. I have to ask them, if you're interested, you have to fill out this form and I have to send it out to David in writing. Even if there is an offer presentation date set and the seller has requested against seeing any preemptive offers, you're not sharing an offer. You're sharing an anticipation of a multiple representation from within your brokerage. Okay, guys? Which is a little bit different from what we used to do always, right? There's an offer presentation. Preemptive offers are not to be seen. What would happen is we're going to put the offer together on the date of the offer presentation. This way, we're not doing that, right? Smart practice anyways is, even if there is, I've always done this, right? I've gone for a showing, I show the property, my client loves the property, offers are not to be viewed for another 5 days. However, right off the bat, from the driveway of that property, I will call up the listing agent and say, please keep me informed if anything happens. My clients are extremely interested. I send a quick text, please don't forget about me. Right off the bat, that's best practice. That's all they're saying. Here is for specifically for multiple representation, you actually have to send in writing to the listing agent from within your brokerage that an offer is to be expected from your clients. This is where, JP, you were asking, in-person representation, very, very important. Right? As a brokerage, we always practice that. You're going on vacation, what do? You let front desk know this colleague of mine is going to take care of our business, right? I think David and I were practicing this 12 years ago, right? We were leaving work for the other person. This is what they've put as a law now. Remember, TRESA is the law. In case the listing agent is going for a holiday during an active period of a listing or buyer representation, the brokerage must assign a designated realtor for this period. The client must approve the replacement representative in writing. I cannot just choose to leave my job with someone. I have to bring that person to my client. The client must be comfortable with that other realtor, and it must be put in writing that the client has approved the replacement representation. JP answered your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you. So, and that how would that work for teams though? I'm not part of a team, but I'm thinking like on clients like Ashai's team, right? If they, how do they designate just Ash and then the parties?
So JP, it depends on how this team is structured. Okay. Most of our listings are not done like that. They're done under individual names. None of our listings go under the team leader's name, right? But if you were Sam McDaddy, right? The listing is under Sam McDaddy. Your listing representation is never even mentioned, right? So there is a big issue there. For me, that structure is a big issue, right? Here we don't practice things like that. Yeah, our team leaders are only mentors for our realtors.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Sabiha.
No problem.
No, I have a really important question.
Put a scenario for Bill Zeliniak and Kelly Smith team that nothing changes?
Nothing changes, right? Because you guys are either or.
So I have a question. I'm in vacation and I don't have a designated. My clients want me to negotiate the offers. They know I'm on vacation and I'm fully connected. Actually, I did an offer yesterday. So if my client knows that I'm out of the country, why do I need a designated person if I don't have anybody that I trust my business?
Well, they're asking for you to designate it.
So
they're saying that if you're not present, yeah, if you're not present and you have an active client, see, Victoria, there's a big risk when you do that. There's a big risk regardless, right? But there is a big risk when you do that, right? What if you're in flight and you have this happened, right? This happened recently, like with Vlad. He left his business with myself and David, and it was perfect because when he was he had these listings, and when he was away, that's when the offers came in. And 2 or 3 offers came when I was here, and then I went for a vacation, and then David helped out. If David wasn't here, even though Vlad was very actively involved, he was hours time difference away from us.
I know,
the
I was
client
in
would not
Scandinavia.
have been. Sorry?
I was in Scandinavia. I was awake at 3 a.m. dealing with my offers, and I did 4 negotiations when I was away. So, but why do I need to assign somebody if I don't?
How far was your flight? How long was your flight?
I was fully connected. Like you have
Even through your
internet in the
flight?
plane. Yes. I was
Right.
fully connected, and I did 4
I mean,
transactions on the month
great.
of September.
Yeah. Victoria, I mean, that's an argument to be made. I do understand why they would put that because anything can happen when you're traveling, right? So what they want to make sure is that your client is not left low and below. You can still be dealing with it. You can still be helping them out, but you have to have some sort of representation here in case it is required. It is just in case it is required, right? It is not
Are you
telling
guys that you and David
sorry, may I
are
finish?
willing to
In no
willing
which
to
way is it saying that you cannot help your client out. It's not saying that. It is just saying that you will have additional help on ground.
Just
Okay.
to make sure I understand, that means there's no choice. If you are away on holiday, you have to have some sort of a designated person to support you.
Some sort, exactly. You're still in control.
Okay.
You're still dealing with everything. You're still doing everything. You just need to have someone that will take care of things for you here. Right?
I'm going away in January for a month.
Yeah.
Are you okay to be my designated for a month?
We'll talk about that.
Like, you know,
Okay.
like it's like life is over. Oh boy.
Okay, number 10, showings, visits, inspections, appraisal. Huge one, guys. This is the last one. You cannot breathe. It is huge. With written approval from the sellers, parties, and I've put in parties, why? Because it is everybody that may or may not be a buyer, may or may not be a mortgage broker, home inspector, contractor, all of the parties above, okay? With written approval from the seller, parties may get access to the property in the absence of a realtor for the purpose of viewing, inspection, appraisal. Now comes in what I think as a broker of record. Best practice, I wouldn't do this, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody will be held responsible for a house or a home where people are living in. I don't like this, right? This works in certain instances. Someone has a house somewhere far away, 3 hours, right? It is vacant property, an appraiser has to go in. Okay, you took the lockbox, you took the written permission from the seller, you allowed the appraiser to go in through your property, right? It's allowed. To use this as common practice, hey, I can't get there, I'm gonna send my buyer, he's very interested, you get a seller's authority, buyer goes in, after the buyer goes in, there's a break-in, things are stolen from the house. For me, not a good idea to do. Okay, guys? So please remember that at the end of the day, you have to use your own common sense, right? Victoria, coming back to your one month, right? It's normal for people to do it in our brokerage. They're normally asked, call me up and say, can you help us find somebody who can take care of our stuff while we're away? That does not mean that I am wheeling and dealing for you guys. That just means that if something is really, really required, and I'm sure at least 15, 20 people can vouch for it that I've done it for them over this year, or Manjot has done it, or David has done it, or another colleague of theirs has done it, right? Frank went on vacation. Frank asked me, can you help me out? It wasn't constant, right?
Sabiha, I posted on the Facebook group. I was paying for showings. You know what I mean? It's not that easy. And I didn't get any you know what I mean? Like,
this is where it comes in, right? This is why we as a brokerage on a regular basis hold these social events, is for you to make friends and for you to turn around. And I've always had someone in the office from literally the day one that I started that I could rely and trust on. I've been here for 13 years, right? I always had somebody or the other, and maybe 2, 3 people. Honestly, like I can tell you, this is the same brokerage, right? JP, David, Bain, all of these people from like years ago, like, and now more recently, even other people. I can leave all my work with you or Frank and not worry twice. Or Holly, or I don't know, Karen, or anybody, right? Like these are the relationships that we've harbored in this office for this reason. You know, I know you're very close to Bill and so many other people, right? So I'm sure everybody has, even the newer people have started making ties and relationships. This is why we have those networking events regularly, right? To help you find colleagues that you can work with and you can rely on.
I have to be approved by your client. That's another tricky question. You know, like, yeah, I'm going and I'm introducing you Sabiha. Oh, who is here? You know what I
Sabiha's
mean?
amazing. Sabiha's great. I trust her. Why do you trust her? I've known her for the last 10 years. Right? You got to find your person, Victoria. And I know that you have many people here that highly
I work with
regard you,
I work with
respect
another
you.
broker, but now you cannot do that.
Yeah.